everyone, it's Brandy Yvette with Just Swallow the Pill. Welcome back. I would like to say happy birthday to all of my fellow Aquariuses, and also happy birthday to all my fellow February babies. I hope you guys are having an amazing birthday month. So last week, if you missed it, we talked about denial, and I moved into the denial phase of my experience after I was asked for a divorce. The shock was still there, but I just moved into a different phase. Now, one thing that kind of contributed to the denial was actually speaking to those friends and family that were actually rooting for me to stay and fight for my marriage. And so I thought that would be a great segue to move into friends and family. Now, my friends and family played a very instrumental role in my decisions that I made throughout the time that I remained in the household with my ex-husband. And there were different categories of friends and family. I had those friends and family that just without a shadow of a doubt wanted me to stay. I had those friends and family that really didn't know what to tell me. And then I also had those friends and family without a shadow of a doubt that wanted me to leave. Now, I experienced different things with everyone. Okay, I will say the most interesting aspect was when I was talking to those who wanted me to stay and fight, I actually gave them reasons why I should leave. So I thought that was a very interesting dynamic to the conversations that I was having. So one group of individuals that I found very difficult were the group that made it seem like moving on was just the easiest thing to do. Now, I'm only going to speak of a few of those individuals, but I had several people in my life that just made it seem like, oh, just move on. And so the one person that I spoke to more than anyone was my mother. And my mom was very angry with me because I had turned into this woman that she didn't recognize. And she didn't understand why I was choosing to stay with someone that was mistreating me. And she couldn't understand how I have allowed this man to essentially make me feel so bad about myself that I was on the brink of suicide. She just didn't understand. And, you know, my mother was just all about me leaving. You need to leave. You need to get up out of there. And the difficult part of that was I was so emotionally invested in my marriage, as you should be, that the advice that she was giving me just wasn't easy to do. It wasn't easy to just walk away. And my father, who I'm also very close with, made it seem like it was just like, oh, Brandy, just move on. Just, you know, just everybody gets divorced and, you know, just move on. And I personally didn't understand how it was just so easy for people to say, just move on. My grandmother, one of my grandmothers actually also was, Brandy, just move on, babe. You know, just move on. And speaking with them really made me question a lot of things, including my process and what I was going through. They made me feel like something was wrong with me. Like I really was angry at myself after speaking to them, because I just was like, they're making it seem like it's just so easy to do, just move on. So what the fuck is wrong with me? Why the fuck can't I just move on like they are making it seem like I should be doing? Okay. I had some friends that were very supportive. I had one friend who was always there when I needed her. And, given she didn't know exactly what to say all the time, I noticed our conversations, she just allowed me to just talk and just vent without giving me any direction. And I had two other friends that were there for me in the beginning. And then as I started to work through the process, they kind of dissipated. And that was very hurtful, but I understand that I pretty much exhausted them. One of those individuals pretty much told me that, you going through a lot and I don't really know what to do. Like, you just going through too much and I don't really have the time to deal with you. And, it hurt to have someone tell me that when I was engulfed in trauma. And I really didn't know what direction to turn into or to turn to. There were also comments like, well, thank God y'all didn't have any children together. And that stung me the most because if you guys remember from a few episodes ago, I was asked for a divorce the day after me and my ex-husband went to visit a fertility clinic to check on my fertility health. And children was something that I wanted with him. I wanted children with him despite everything that had happened. And so that was just something that stung really bad. And I didn't get it at the time. I didn't quite understand why someone would wish that I did not have kids with my husband. And then I had those individuals that were all about me staying and fighting. And in all essence, I think that, staying and fighting is the one thing that you would tell someone that marriage seems to be going in a weird direction because your husband really doesn't have a good reason for really wanting this divorce. Also, even though he was threatening to have me served at work and he was threatening divorce, he really wasn't taking the initiative to have the papers drawn up. And from their perspective, for somebody that's so adamant about wanting a divorce, you would think that they would just have them papers ready to sign and, have me sign on that dotted line. And so from their perspective, he was just going through something and I just needed to stay and wait it out. And at one point, I had so many voices in my head that I didn't know who was talking. I didn't know if it was me. I didn't know if it was my friends. I didn't know if it was God. I didn't know. And things were happening very fast. Things were a blur. I still didn't quite understand what was happening to me. And then I have about 6 to 10 people giving me different types of direction. And I was extremely lost. So because of that, I made the decision to take a 30-day break and not talk to anybody. And that was a very difficult thing to do because I was going through so much turmoil within my own home that I was afraid that I wasn't going to have anyone to lean on during this time. And I remember feeling like maybe God is isolating me to get me alone so he can talk to me and tell me what to do next. Maybe I'm just seeking out so much that I can't hear him. And so I shut down all my social media. So for those of you that were following me on Instagram and were friends with me on Facebook, this was around the time that I deactivated everything. And I called my friends and family members and let them know what I was doing so they wouldn't be worried. And I cut my phone on Do Not Disturb. And I started my 30 days. And there was an incident that happened during that 30 days that snapped me out of denial. And the incident happened with my ex-husband. And it really made me see the type of person he was. So one night I was in bed. He had come home from work early. And we had 2 dogs. I came into the marriage with a dog. And a few months before he asked me for the divorce, he actually suggested that we get a puppy. So him and I got a puppy together. And one night, the puppy had an accident. And he had, again, come home from work. I was in bed at the time, so really, I don't know if he found the accident or if the dog did it while he was in the living room with them. All I remember is the dog running into the bedroom where I was and him coming after the dog. And he beat my puppy. He beat my puppy so bad that night. And he ended it with a kick with his steel toe boot. And I jumped out of the bed and I remember screaming, "No, no, stop, stop." And my puppy cowered into our guest bathroom behind the toilet. And I confronted him that night. And I told him, "You are the most nasty person I know. You have beat this dog for having an accident in the house. But that wasn't even the thing, the kick with the boot. And the thing that broke my heart the most is when the dog came from behind the toilet, he was limping. And I said to my ex-husband, "You are nicer to strangers on the motherfucking street than you are to us in this house. You are nasty. The nastiest you can be, you are to us. And these animals love you unconditionally. And I'm your wife. And you conjure up any type of nastiness in your soul and project that shit onto us. That night, I realized that this man was hurt. This man was dealing with some shit that was beyond myself. This shit couldn't be fixed. I just could not understand how you could be so nasty consistently. Consistently, you are nasty to us. And we love you the most. We love you the most. We accept you with all your shit. And you treat us like we ain't shit. And that snapped my ass right up out that denial. That sad shit was done. I was done being sad. I was absolutely done being sad. I had gotten angry at that point. I'm angry. And we are going to stop right there. We are going to pick up next week when I tell you guys about my conversation with God. That 30-day break really put things into perspective for me. So I can't wait to tell you guys about that. It is a tearjerker. I cry every time I tell it. It was such a moving experience for me, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So don't forget to subscribe. I don't want you to miss that. Also, you guys know I love hearing your thoughts. Comment below if you want to share your story with me, but you want to take more of a personal approach. You can email me at thedifficultpill@gmail.com. Also, for those who have been sharing their stories with me, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for trusting me with your stories. And also, if you guys are not following me on Instagram, you can follow me at Brandy Yvette. Also, your DMs, I'm getting them as well. Thank you so much for all of your support. I appreciate it. And as always, I want you guys to remember, your crown is not on your head. It is in your soul. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week.